A plant disappeared from a place where the conditions for it to survive were still perfect. No drought, no development, no collectors stripping the hillside. The soil was right, the climate was right. Everything that plant needed to exist was still there. The plant was not. The last person who saw it in the wild saw it in 1984. Researchers went back. They searched the known range and 100 kilometers beyond it in every direction. They found nothing. No plants, no remains, no explanation. It didn't go extinct. It vanished, and nobody noticed until it was already gone. There are 5 cacti on this list. Some of them are down to a single cliff face, a single canyon, a handful of collectors who understand what they're holding. The one at number 1 is in a category that has no good name. Not quite extinct, not quite surviving, just unaccounted for. By the end of this video, you'll know what happened to each of them, but the one that will stay with you isn't the rarest, or the most beautiful, or the most dramatic. It's the one that asks a question you haven't thought to ask before. How many things have already disappeared while you were paying attention to something else? 5 of them. Counted down. Number 5. Lie flat on the ground in the scrubland of South Texas. Look straight down. What you see doesn't look like a cactus. No spines, no height. Just a perfect 8-pointed star pressed almost flush with the soil. 8 ribs, evenly spaced, covered in tiny white tufts. Radiating from the center like a compass someone buried. It produces one large yellow flower, red-orange center, and it's gone by nightfall. The sand dollar cactus was first collected in 1843. Botanists were fascinated immediately. A spineless cactus, perfectly geometric, flat as a coin, unlike anything else in the family. And that fascination is exactly what nearly killed it. People paid attention. Too much of it, the wrong kind. It has been grown on windowsills and in greenhouses continuously for over 180 years, which sounds like a success story. It is not. There are a few thousand left in the wild. The entire remaining population fits inside one small county in Texas and a handful of sites across the border in Mexico. It's on the same international protection list as elephants and rhinos, and people still take them. Because they're small, flat, and fit in an envelope. A cactus so beautiful it became a mail-order extinction. That is number 5. And it is the least endangered plant on this list. Number 4. In 1991, a field botanist named George Hinton found a cactus that had never been described. On a gypsum cliff in the mountains of northeastern Mexico, it turned out to be an entirely new genus. The last new cactus genus identified in the 20th century. A solitary globe, blue-green to silver-gray, coated in a frosted, waxy layer that makes it look ceramic rather than alive. Dozens of sharply defined ribs running from base to crown. Deep magenta flowers opening at the top. It looked like something that had been waiting a long time to be found. Here's the thing most people don't know. Within weeks of the announcement, collectors arrived and began removing plants. The entire global wild population of Geohintonia mexicana exists on one cliff face, in one canyon, in one state in Mexico. That's it. The whole species, one rock. And the moment science said, "Look, here, this exists," the attention that followed nearly erased it. Botanists think it may be a natural hybrid, something that happened once between 2 other species that briefly overlapped on that one cliff at some point in deep geological time and produced something new, an accident of biology that occurred once and will not happen again. Number 4. Discovered and nearly destroyed in the same year by the same kind of attention. Number 3. There are places in the Atacama Desert of Chile where rain has not fallen in over 1,000 years. In those places, on the narrow coastal slopes where cold Pacific fog rolls in from the ocean each morning, clusters of silver columns rise from the gravel. They don't look biological. They look like something a civilization that understood material science better than we do left behind. And in a way, they did. The body is coated in a dense silvery wax, so reflective it appears to glow in direct sunlight. Black spines for contrast. The plant doesn't wait for rain. It pulls moisture directly from the fog through its surface. The wax isn't decoration. It's a condensation system built over millions of years. But here's what most people miss. Individual plants live for up to 200 years. That one right there, the one you could hold in both hands, it may have been growing before the American Revolution, before your country existed. When a collector removes one of these plants, they are not taking a cactus. They are destroying 2 centuries of irreplaceable growth from a place that produces no replacements at any speed a human being can observe. Number 3. It drinks fog. It outlives empires. And it's disappearing. Number 2. This cactus grows almost flush with the ground. In a single small region of Brazil, in quartz gravel, it is easy to miss. It looks like a dark, flat coin pressed into the rock, and it has never been found anywhere else on Earth. And once a year, it does something nobody has ever seen in full daylight. The flowers open after dark. They are white and enormous, larger than the entire plant, and they produce a fragrance so intense it carries across open air. Everyone who has ever witnessed it describes the same thing. Jasmine and lemon, together, in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere. The flowers are designed for hawk moths, creatures that fly at night, navigate by scent, and need large white blooms they can locate in total darkness. This plant has spent millions of years perfecting that exact arrangement. And by dawn, the flowers are gone. Disco cactus horsty flowers for 1 night per year. No photograph of a fully open bloom in natural daylight exists, not because no one has tried, because by the time daylight arrives, it's already over. It saves its only performance for an audience of moths. Number 2. 1 night, 1 place, 1 species. Still here, just. Every plant on this list so far still exists in the wild. A few thousand sand dollar cacti in Texas, 1 cliff of Geohintonia in Mexico, a narrow coastal strip of silver columns drinking fog in Chile, a disc that flowers for 1 night a year in Brazil. They are rare. Some of them are clinging to existence by the narrowest possible margin, but they are alive, somewhere, right now, in the ground, in a place you could theoretically travel to and find. The planet number 1 is different. Not more endangered, not more threatened. Different in kind. The last person who saw it growing in the wild saw it in 1984. Researchers went back to the site, surveyed the surrounding area, 100 kilometers in every direction from where it was last recorded. They found nothing. No plants, no remains, no explanation. The habitat hadn't been destroyed. The conditions were still right. Whatever happened to this species, it happened quietly, at a rate too slow for anyone to notice, while attention was directed somewhere else. The official conservation listing is critically endangered, possibly extinct in the wild. That phrase, possibly extinct, is science's way of saying we looked and it wasn't there, but we cannot prove a negative. What we know is this: no living specimen has been confirmed in the wild in over 40 years, and the only reason the species exists at all is because a small number of collectors understood what they had and held on to it. Number 1. There is a place in central Brazil where a cactus used to grow. Not a cliff face, not a canyon, just a patch of ground in the state of Goiás that looked, to the people who knew it, like any other patch of ground. Except it wasn't. The plant that grew there spread through hidden underground roots, pushing new stems up through the soil, quietly, over years. It had a woolly crown, white flowers that opened at night, a ribbed green body. It looked, in the photographs that exist, like a cactus. And then it was gone. Not because of a dam, not because a field was cleared, not because collectors stripped the hillside. The habitat is still there. The soil is still right. As far as anyone can determine, there was no single catastrophic event. There was no moment when someone made a decision that ended the species in the wild. There was just inattention. Somewhere between the last person who saw it in 1984 and the researchers who went back and found nothing, a species stopped existing in the wild, and nobody was watching closely enough to see it happen. Here's what stays with me about that. The 4 plants on this list before it, the ones still out there, still clinging to one cliff or one canyon or one foggy coastline, they are all in the position this one was in a few decades ago, before anyone noticed. The sand dollar cactus fits in an envelope. Geohintonia lives on one rock. And for all of them, the difference between existing and not existing is whether someone is paying attention at the right moment. Fewer than 50 specimens of Discocactus subterraneo proliferans are believed to survive, all of them in private collections, held by people who understood, just in time, what they were holding. If those collections fail, if the collectors die, if the plants are neglected, if a greenhouse is lost, the species ends, not just in the wild, everywhere. That is number 1.
None of these plants became rare because the desert became more hostile.
The Atacama has always been this dry. The limestone cliffs of northeastern Mexico have always been this specific. These plants survived for millions of years in conditions that would kill almost anything else. They became rare because we found them. The sand dollar cactus was being collected before conservation biology existed as a field. Geohintonia was stripped by enthusiasts before the description was dry, and Discocactus subterraneo proliferans disappeared while the people who should have been counting it were doing something else. The desert did not make these plants rare. Attention did, and inattention did. The 4 that are still out there are not safe because they are resilient. They are still there because, so far, someone happened to be looking at the right moment. That's it. That is the entire margin. How many things are already gone that we simply haven't noticed yet? Next in this series, there are succulents growing right now in places that should make survival impossible. Not just difficult, impossible. And some of them don't look like plants at all. One of them looks like a pile of rocks. Another looks like a puddle of wax someone spilled and forgot. And the reason they look like that, the reason they evolved to be unrecognizable, is exactly as strange as you think it is. That one is coming next. If desert intelligence is new to you, subscribe. We go to the parts of the desert world that most natural history content never reaches, and we try not to bore you with facts when wonder is available. Tell me in the comments, which one stayed with you? My guess is it wasn't the rarest. My guess is it was the one that disappeared while nobody was watching.